Well, hello and welcome back to the Rest of Saga Workshop YouTube channel, and this week it's another tool review, and more specifically we're looking at the Milwaukee Leaf Blower. It's the brushless M18 version, and I'm going to give you a detailed look, show you a bit of a demonstration and discuss the pros and cons of this particular tool. So let's get stuck in. Okay, so Milwaukee Leaf Blower. I bought this when we lived in our old house. We didn't have a particularly large garden, but the leaves and stuff that would have blown into my driveway or along the paths, or maybe grass cuttings that went onto the paths after cutting the grass, just to shift those along. And I can't believe just how useful this thing is and how powerful and how long the battery lasts as well. I'll start off with the batteries, although this is obviously not a video about batteries. I'm using the 5 amp hour battery throughout all of this video. It lasts plenty. I have two 5 amp hour batteries, and that is more than enough for clearing up around my garden, especially in the autumn time when there are leaves down. So we'll start off looking at the controls. This is operating by a trigger switch, and you can modulate the speed according to how hard you pull the trigger. Very handy. Also, you'll notice up here, that's a lockout. So if I have the trigger all the way in, I can push the lockout in and that will keep it on. Then a quick squeeze of the trigger brings the lockout pop back out again. Up in here we have the speed controller. So presumably tortoises are slower than hares. You can maybe get the impression that the hare is lit up. Move down here is the tortoise, back up's the hare. And that is it. That's all the controls you need. There's obviously a button to show you the battery juice, but that's a different video in and of itself. The construction of it is pretty sturdy. Very handy little hanging hook, hole mounting, whatever you want to call it, on the bottom. I do mount it on the wall to keep it up out of harm's way. Good sturdy plastic that's been dropped plenty, and there's your fan in there. You can see the dirt. This thing does get used, but I just like to keep my tools in good condition. And if you want to remove the pipe, you can just pull that little clicker and pull the black pipe off, but I'm not going to do that. However, one thing I have been tempted to do is to buy the shorter pipe with a bit of a nozzle on it. Some folk are 3D printing them, and then they can be used for blowing the water off your car after you've washed it, just to shift the bulk of water before you dry it off, which I think is particularly cool. This is obviously Milwaukee fuel, which means it's their brushless, and you can tell that from the noise of the electric motor that it's not brushed of the motor. So what do I use it for? Shifting leaves. Let's go and see if we can find some leaves and general stuff around the garden to blow, and I'll show you the difference between the two speeds. So starting off, that's going to be the faster speed. One hand, very nifty. Now, one thing I will say is if you're using an amount of time, it does create a bit of stress in your wrist, but you can always switch between hands and that alleviates the stress. Let's see what it does. You can see that is shifting those sort of wood chips and so on quite easily there. I've done, as you can see here, a bit of cutting down of some trees in my garden, and the wood chips that come off the chainsaw, this shifts them really easily. It also lifts wet leaves really well in the winter because we used it all of last autumn to shift the leaves here in the garden. So pretty handy for that too. Let's try it now on the slower speed. So we go down here to the speed button. The tortoise is lit up, and you can hear the difference in the motor note. Definitely not as much air pressure comes out, but your battery obviously lasts longer on the Milwaukee Fuel Leaf Blower. This is obviously the M18, I meant to say. It's 18 volt, but that probably goes without saying if you've actually read the title of the video. So what else is there to say? I think this unit here came in at about £100. Thereabouts. I bought it about a year, 18 months ago, so I can't exactly remember the exact price, but you'll be able to look that up for yourself. I have registered with Milwaukee to ensure I get the longer warranty. I think that's really worth doing. It's free to do, and as long as you don't object to them having your details, then I think it's entirely worth doing to extend your warranty, and I've had absolutely no bother with it at all. Run time on the 5 amp hour M18 battery, it costs about £50 for the battery. I'd say run time's probably about 15-20 minutes or thereabouts on high power, definitely longer on low power. I haven't timed it to be sure, but I think two batteries is more than enough, and I have a fairly large garden from which to blow up leaves. So definitely recommend. I'm thoroughly impressed with this, and I'll probably buy another battery to really get me through this winter. Any questions, I'm more than happy to take them below. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video on the Milwaukee M18 brushless leaf blower. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, catch all my other projects, the Land Rover, the Steam projects, anything else that I can make videos of. I make them every week, and I also make a short now every week, if that's what you're into. Fire a comment down below, hit the subscribe, give me a like, all those good things, and I'll catch you again next week. Cheerio!